Hello, you're tuned in to Inspired Humboldt, where we shed light on local cultural creatives who are uplifting and inspiring the community through creativity, consciousness raising, and holistic healing.
This is Patrick Walsh, and I'm Casey McLean, and we are part of a Rising Community, a local nonprofit and one of the many Dreammaker projects of the Young People. We'd like to thank the Young People for the use of this space today, which is actually a new space in Old Town Eureka, and the Mars Project, who has so many great offerings and does our video, editing, and all things technical.
Today our guest, today our guest is Aundrea Stuckey?
Yes.
Cool. Welcome to the show.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Of course.
Yeah.
Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself and maybe how you came to be in Humboldt?
Sure. I was actually born in Humboldt, I believe, second generation. My mom and father were also born here as well. On the black side of my family, they moved here in the mass migration of the South during the 60s, and I think it started in the 50s and went all the way in through the 70s, just because there was so much segregation and with slavery ended, but then Jim Crow laws and all that kind of took it in place, and it was just so intense that a lot of black folks moved out of the South and looked for work elsewhere, where like in Humboldt, there was a different kind of prejudice. It wasn't all out, it was just different. It was kind of more directed towards Native Americans, unfortunately. So black people found a way to kind of just blend in, if that makes any sense. And then, my mother, on my mother's side, they're German and Irish immigrants. And so, yeah, it's kind of a unique story when you look at it from like zooming out how I came to be here. But yeah, growing up here on the rivers in Humboldt every summer, and just really connecting to nature, it showed me the potential of the beauty that you can have like across different diverse cultures, because my mom's white and her kids are black, and all this community is, it's actually pretty white. It's kind of Eurocentric, but there's still a lot of different cultures, and I saw so much potential for cross-cultural sharing and for connection with nature with all that we have here. And so, yeah, I just really wanted to be able to share my unique experience as a black woman in Humboldt, and what I've learned as far as what it means to be in community with differences, and how we can lift up those kinds of differences and what we all have to offer. Instead of like pushing it out and being isolated and scared, because I've just seen so much beauty from multiculturalism and from culture sharing. So anyway, it's good to be here, and I'm so happy that you all are sharing the beautiful different cultural, awesome healing modalities and offerings that the community has. So
Thank you.
And we were actually talking on the way here about how much we love Humboldt, and I know a lot of people who've
Yes.
grown up here, they didn't really stay to make their offering happen, and so it's really beautiful that you brought yourself to this community and your offerings, and that's just, and that you still appreciate it so much and love it so much.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, I actually have chills because, I wasn't sure what offering I was going to give. I actually started off in the nonprofit sector with mental health awareness. And then I started to see that like my unique experience growing up here as a black woman from a multicultural background was unique, and like a lot of students of color and black folks coming in from out of the area, they didn't have the support network and system and comfortability to navigate here like I did. And so I started to really see like, wow, what's going on? Why is the black population here in Humboldt the lowest almost of any other demographic? Why don't black people feel safe here? What's going on? And then, with the George Floyd incidents, and with, just the recent presidency that we had, the rise in racial tensions in this area specifically increased, and it just became so much more apparent that Black culture isn't really represented or uplifted in Humboldt as a community asset. You know, we're starting to do that with the Native culture. You see more Native art. You know, we're working on getting land back and working more with the tribes here.
And the Chinatown project.
And the Chinatown project.
Yeah, cool, yeah.
But like, there's just not a lot of like Black community cultural assets, and even the murals that you see, like the one here downtown in Eureka, it's not actually painted by a Black person, it's of a Black person. So yeah, it's just, I'm like, okay, well, I know what I can offer. I can offer my background, my culture, my, you know, so in a place that desperately needs it, and desperately needs more unity. So I feel like there's a long way to go, but I have a lot of purpose to be here. And I think, yeah, and that's the thing, is like a lot of youth and young people will come here to college, or they're from here, and they'll feel like, what can I offer? I'm not sure what to offer. And so there's no place for me here. It's like what they feel. But
Yeah, you're kind of breaking down, you know, the wall, the door, or opening the doors for, you know, because if they do feel that, like you said, there's a lot of work.
yeah, and I'm used to the work because, like I said, I grew up underneath a roof of a white household, you know, in a way, and I learned how to live in different worlds, you know, and I learned how to navigate some of the harsher realities of that and not feeling accepted, and how to work through those uncomfortable moments. And so I have this adaptability, and I feel like I can teach that and share that and how I do that. And I know it sounds cheesy, but the answer has always boiled down to love. And because how much I loved, you know, like the white side of my family, grandmas and uncles and people who just don't understand, you know, what it's like for Black people, it made it a lot more easy to have compassion for ignorance, and it also gave them compassion and forced them to interact with a culture that they wouldn't have normally maybe chose to. So we kind of had to come together to work things out all the time. So it makes it easier for me to do that for the community at large, because I grew up that way.
Yeah, you have a powerful, unique navigating skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I got a little bit thicker, you know, skin. Obviously I don't feel like I can tolerate hate or harms like any better than any other person. I just have tools to know how to, like, I guess, address the issues when they come up. And a big one of those tools is art. So, and expression.
Well, let me ask you the next question then, because you started an organization here, you and some others, called YAS. It's Youth Arts
Will Succeed.
Will Succeed.
Yes.
And that's a nonprofit in town. And can you tell us more about that?
Yes, absolutely. So, like I was saying, there were so few Black people in this area that oftentimes I was, you know, prejudged and categorized before I even got to open my mouth in scenarios. People would just assume so many things about me because they didn't know about Black culture, they don't know about me, and sometimes it was just a big, huge bar, and I wasn't really able to, you know, climb over it, you know, so that I could truly be me. And it was through poetry, theater, singing. It was through anything creative arts-wise that I was actually able to, you know, let people see my soul and hear my experience from my perspective instead of just making assumptions about who I was. And I found that I was able to learn that about other people too. And it was just like the theater and the arts was just this place where we could transcend our differences and realize that, you know, culture and community and art was something that we all had in common, even if we had different ways of sharing and expressing that. So it was really unifying. And I was like, okay, well, how am I going to do this? Like, how do you tackle the issue of prejudice or racial trauma? And like I said, art was the way I saw growing up that gave me the freedom to do that. So the vision of YAWS is through art and healing arts, just to heal racial trauma in the Black community first, so that the Black culture and the people who participate in Black culture can share it more freely from a place of love and a place of joy. So that's why our little slogan is Black Joy Matters. You know, because when you have a culture or a people group who are hurting and who are coming from a place of anger and of rage and haven't had time to heal or process that trauma on our own, what we come forth in the community with is skepticism, anger, rage, fear, you know, and there's just so much inward work that we need to take care of. So right now, the community goal of our nonprofit is to heal racial trauma through allowing the Black community and also potentially the Native and Latinx community and just other, because I don't want to just focus on the Black community, but that's what I'm focusing on right now, because that's my niche, that's my area of expertise, but it'll expand and become intersectional naturally. But we're focusing on, you know, what I know best, which is, you know, with the Black population, and just going in and actually using art as a tool in healing retreats and retreat spaces to transmute some of that hate, talk about what's going on with us in a group setting where we have each other's support. And I guess seeing what art comes out of it, seeing what we can transmute, seeing what healing can take place from there. Yeah, that's sort of that's the core purpose of YAWS, is giving the Black community outlets to express ourselves and our pain and heal ourselves. Yeah.
Oh, I could see so much good stuff coming out of that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you have anyone you collaborate with?
Yes.
In that way, yeah.
Absolutely. Interestingly enough, I'm working currently, or I have worked with Nanette Kelly, who is working with the Ink people here. We were working on a project just at the beginning of this last year, and she's continuing to work with the Black and Indigenous communities and just pulling resources in for us. So there was also the Arcata Playhouse that I had been working with and did a couple projects with. I've also worked with the Building Black community, and that's an amazing new group. It's like a grassroots organization made up of Black community leadership. So there's like Sharon Blanc, president of the NAACP, Ron White, he works with the Humboldt-Aundrea Foundation. There's several amazing key players in the community that work in that group that is super awesome to be a part of. Obviously Black Humboldt is another one of our collaborators. They're an amazing local resource, and you know, even just in the networking aspect and connecting people. So there's several organizations, and then also individual community members who are a part of YAWS that work with us frequently, like AJ Ross, who you all know, his brother Ali, and AJ's partner Ducky, Delilah Stowers, you know, and they're all local community healers, yogi practitioners, and they're also artists, poets, who are really interested in Afrocentrism and uplifting Black culture in this community.
And like with AJ bringing some black history and consciousness, and I happen to know also that you hang out with inspired, cool people because I live behind you, and I also know, that's how I know you also sing. Can you tell us a little bit about, well, now it sounds like you just have a love, and actually when you were talking about creativity and art is just like, so I just got so many ways, like I already know it heals, but I just got even a deeper understanding of how it can connect and heal. But just as far as music goes, do you want to talk about your little experience with that part of your artistic
Sure.
expression?
Well, the journey started with me. I guess it was kind of in church. I kind of learned in church, like a lot of Black community. It was a place where, Black folks could come together, and it's just singing is just such a huge part of Black culture. And in my family history, we were definitely previously enslaved just 3 to 4 generations ago. And so singing in the fields was a way to transmute pain and make the day go, by faster. And so singing has been a part of Black culture for a really long time, and human culture. And it was just interesting that I started singing in church, but that it kind of awakened different parts of me. I feel like ancestral remembrances even in my DNA. And I just realized that I would always sing when I was doing things at home, like, just when I was sad, when I wanted to get over something, when I was walking around, I would just be singing. Like, it was just a part of it was like breathing. It was just something I did, part of my life. I wouldn't even notice I was doing it, like how you're saying, oh yeah, I'm your neighbor, so I hear you singing all the time. I'm like, do I? Oh, I guess I do. But I really started sharing my voice locally on stage and poetry collectives like Word Humboldt, where I would combine spoken word with singing. And yeah, I've only written a couple songs because I usually do freestyle and intuitive song singing, and it feels really divinely inspired in that way. Like, it just comes from the moment, it comes from my soul, it comes from the intuition. And I think that was kind of, instilled with learning to sing in church. So, you'll find me freestyling or in jam bands. Sometimes the jam has open mics, so I'll hop up on stage and sing there. And every once in a while, I have a song that I've written. Yeah, so that's kind of how it...
And also, I just want to, just only because we had a conversation and because your voice is so beautiful, you also said maybe you were looking for some collaborators or people. Yeah.
Yes, absolutely. So if there, I guess the sound of my voice and the style that I go for is sort of folky, kind of soulful. Pairs really well with just acoustic guitar, piano, jazzy, kind of, even like country, bluegrassy kind of singing, So if there's any artists that want to jam, play guitar with me, just kind of jam out at the Marsh, or maybe you have your own jam band already, yes, please find me. I'm on Instagram, Humboldt-Aundrea. I'd love to start singing with y'all more in the community.
Yes, more music here.
Sounds cool. I want to hear that.
Thank you. I'm like, should I sing something right now?
Do you want to?
Sure. I can sing something. Like a free flow?
Yeah.
Okay.
Whatever inspires you.
Okay. Ooh, yeah. Oh, I feel so good right now, just sitting here listening to you. I'm not really sure what's gonna come out my mouth, but I know you will receive it with loving ears and hearts. And I know that after we're done here, we're gonna have full of hearts. And it takes community and culture and healing arts and everybody to play their parts. So come on, and let's start.
Oh my gosh, can we play that at the beginning beginning of every episode.
I love that.
And you'd be our theme song. Oh my god.
I got tingles.
You trying to make people cry.
Thanks.
That was beautiful.
Thank you. You
Thank
never
you.
know how it's gonna come out.
Yeah.
It's all over the place. Like usually I'll have like music in the background to help me keep on key or on pitch or in tune.
Yeah.
So it's like a little bit more rhythmic and concise. But that was 100% raw from the heart.
That was beautiful.
I'm glad that y'all.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
not pre-planned for
Yeah,
real
for
people.
real. I've been experimenting with doing the same thing, but I live alone, so I have like the pleasure of being sheltered and like just,
Yeah.
but just like music in the background,
Right.
like I'm constantly like singing or freestyling to
Right.
it, and like I've been like so amazed sometimes by like the stuff that comes out of me. I'm just like, damn, I should have recorded that. But it's just like, it's beautiful that I think we all have that capacity,
Yeah.
but we don't like make space for it always, and
Right.
we definitely don't make space for it in public or with our peers.
Right.
And so like I'm at the point now where like you, I want to do that more.
Yes.
Because it's such a beautiful example to put that out in the world, you know. And I
Yeah.
think that's why we all admire it, is because it's spirit, you know.
It
It's
is.
just pure raw spirit, and it's like it's beautiful. So thank you for that.
You're welcome. Vulnerability begets vulnerability, and that's kind of and that's what it feels like to connect across cultural differences and to share. You're like, how am I going to be received? You know.
Yeah.
So when we create this communing at the level of the heart and of the spirit, and there's like way less judgment, it really does allow people to open up and to share. And I feel like Humboldt is a place where we have the unique opportunity to do that because we have access to so many different healing modalities that have taken individuals into vulnerable places, you know. I've even had laughing yoga on the plaza here. Like how awkward and vulnerable can that be, you know? Booties in the air, who knows what, you know, laughter sound's gonna come out. And you just have people playing, like there's like the circus at HSU that comes into town, or that used to come into town. I don't know if they're still doing that with the whole pandemic thing right now, but we had the drummers. They would come and march through the streets. Like there's a lot of different people being free and quirky, and you know that's another reason why as a woman of color out here in Humboldt, I was like, well, maybe I can dare to be different too. Look at these freaks, or like look at those people who are making fools of themselves, like
Yeah, and having fun.
yeah, through art, through music, through expression, through moving their bodies, and not to mention all the herbalists that we have here, and the wellness coaches, and the food. We have an abundance of food here, and there's all these opportunities to just vibrate on the level of spirit and of community and love here. So I'm like, yo, I see the opportunity, and I'm not going to let it pass me by, you know.
Yeah.
I'm
Well
going to
said.
get well, and I'm going to share that with who needs it most. So that's really what Y'all's is all about. You know, I want to find the most vulnerable in the community who, you know, like the misfits. And in this case, in my case, the Black community is kind of on the outskirts. And recently started Black community issues started to come up, and you know the light started to shine on Black issues. But you know it's not enough, and it's like when I first started Y'all's 2 years ago. So I think I started in 2019, and it was in response to the George Floyd crisis. I had already been working on getting it off the ground paperwork wise, but then when that happened, I was like, whoa. Like the community is in desperate need of love, of light, of healing. So I was putting together these mutual aid boxes with local wellness tools, herbs, ganja, and $100 to help people pay a bill. And I was able to give out over 300 of those. Wow. And so that's about $30,000 worth of just money and supply. I mean, with the herbal supplies and all the community that put in, who knows? I think that each box probably had anywhere between $200 to $500 worth of goodies in it.
I'm so glad you mentioned that, because when you had said, I was like, oh, I gotta remember to say that, because they were also, you made them beautiful. They were, they were personalized. They were boxes of art, and they had
Yeah.
so many loving little things, like even maybe you would just put a candle or some incense, or like they were just really precious and special, and you did so much of that. It was such a big thing at the
Yeah.
time. Like I know a lot of people in the community received.
Yes.
I mean, you even gave some to us when you moved in. I mean, I was like, what? This is like amazing. So thank you for mentioning that. I forgot
Yeah,
about that
you're
project
welcome.
that you did. It was
You're
so
welcome.
big. Yeah.
You're welcome. And I realized that like we have so many herbalists and we have so many healing modalities. Like there was certificates for yoga in there. There was certificates for astrology readings in there. There was gift cards for different local restaurants, food. There was herbs, tinctures, all kinds of cool things in there. And it was all from local businesses. It was all from local healers, local herbalists right here in Humboldt. And I was just like, whoa. But it ended up being not sustainable because it was like I said, it was mutual aid. It was response to crisis. So I did that for the first year. So for like about 7 months in 2019 into 2020, and I realized that it wasn't sustainable. It wasn't sustainable, and it would be more sustainable to figure out how to spread wellness as a lifestyle, as a cultural value. And so it kind of wore me out. I kind of burnt out. I was like, I've never done this before. I'm here running a nonprofit, and I put a lot of the burden on myself. I had a lot of help, but as far as actually administrative side of things, like I'm like, oh my God, I can't even say the word. I'm like, logistics, administrative, finances, all this stuff started piling up. And the not so exciting part of running a business, And so I'm like, all right, how do I reframe this in a way that I have the support that I need to make it sustainable? And I just realized that it can't just be responding to crisis. It needs to come from the inside out. And in order to do that, healing needs to take place. Healing the trauma. I actually thought of an analogy for what a lot of activists do, and a lot of us do when we respond to crisis. It's like we're trying to put fires out. When your own house is on fire, it's like you're out here like, oh, okay, like, oh, there's racism over there, call that out, stomp that flame out. Oh, there's that problem over there. Oh, there's this problem over there. And then you're not even dealing with your crisis at home. And so you just sort of like burn out. And so instead of doing it from that way, I'm wanting to band together with like local community healers and really focus on healing the wound of racial trauma in the Black community, because the Black culture itself and African cultures have a lot of untapped healing and gifts and things that we could be sharing with this community if we feel that we have the energy, the time, and the space to do that. And that all comes from being well. So fuel ourselves up with art, transmute some of that pain, invite local community healers to come in and, offer their healing gifts, teach us new ways of healing ourselves. And, then in that way we were able to like, oh yeah, that's right. Like, I have this whole wealth of ancestral knowledge, that I could be offering this community too, But when you're burnt out and you're run down, and like I said before, when you don't, when you feel upset or angry, and you're like, I'm not dealing with these white people. I'm not dealing with this issue. I'm staying in my lane. Like, this is crazy. Or worst case scenario, they move away, and then the Black culture and the community here just doesn't have a chance to grow. But I'm like, enough with all that. We have all the beautiful nature, all the beautiful healers, the beautiful space, the loving community here that wants to figure out a way to help. So that's what YAWS is reframing now. So instead of crisis management, I'm looking towards reframing YAWS to catering to healing. I'm collaborating with AJ Ross and his partner and his brother on a wellness center, and we're going to be collaborating with local healers to do retreats to help heal racial trauma in the Black community. And that's all going to be taking place next year. So that's what people can look forward to with Yaws in the next coming years, you know. Not saying we won't be doing any more mutual aid baskets, but, you know, it's going to be something more educational, more like ongoing, and we'll have a center, hopefully, where different healers can come and offer their giftings to the Black community, and the Black community can learn and even learn about our own cultural giftings and also share. So it'll be kind of like this cyclical thing of, oh, I'm getting my own wellness and healing and I'm learning about wellness, and then I'm going to go out and share and create more wellness, kind of and I hope that it's more sustainable, and I hope that in the training and the learning that I'm doing with the rest of this year, and I totally forgot to mention, like, my own personal spiritual coach, I don't know if I mentioned this, but it's Vida Hoffweber. I don't know if you know about her, but she is a life coach. She's a practicing spiritual guide. So
Here in town.
Here in town, yeah. So she's sort of initiating me in how to hold healing transformative circles, which really have to be intentional. And yeah, it's bringing up a lot of ancient wisdom and a lot of just beautiful knowledge, because yeah, you want to tackle the issue of racial trauma. It's going to be intense, it's going to be emotional, and you have to have the right container and tools to do that. So
to guide it.
Yeah, so for the next 4 months I'm in this training and bolstering myself up. I'm going to a healing retreat actually next week, so that I can first fill my own cup up and also get an example of, like, hey, what does a healing retreat look like that's effective, you know? So I'm studying, I'm learning, and how to hold this sacred space, collaborating, finding other collaborators who are interested in helping me hold this space, all for the rest of this year, so that next year we can come with the wellness retreats, the wellness center, and hopefully some cultural community events, sharing Black culture, cultural affairs on the plaza, giving people an opportunity to learn about Black culture from Black people, and in a positive way. Mm-hmm. Like, hey, we need more of this, or we really like this, or we want to learn more, and
Yeah, and the visibility on the plaza would be great. I mean, I've seen a few events on the plaza, and I've had, I think that. So, like, this is usually Patrick's question, but I almost feel like it goes into what you just said. If you could create anything you wanted with no obstacle and total success, would it be your wellness center or?
Honestly, I think that it would definitely be not just one particular thing. It would be a community of culture of Afrocentrism, because in truth and in essence, all civilization started off and humanity was birthed in Africa. So we all have a connection to the mother, to the womb of Africa. And so by centering in on African culture and by really healing those wounds, I feel like it'll heal the collective and it'll heal humanity. It'll heal those places, those misconceptions of that dark is bad, or that even shadow work is bad, or any of these things that we have like oppressed, we're able to surround with love. So so culturally valuing Afrocentrism and multiculturalism in our community, and really uplifting all the diversity that we have to offer here. And I guess I can hone it down to something more specific. I would really, really love to see a school for healing arts and arts, just in general, where Black and Indigenous community members can come and learn and reconnect to their ancestral roots and ways, and learn from like the local Native Americans and how to live with this land, particularly, and respect, and just really fortify like what art is inside of that individual and what can they offer the community. So I did originally envision a school for healing arts and arts for Black and Indigenous community members. But, you know, starting off with this wellness center vision, starting off with community care, and then, you know, maybe we'll be able to hone our skills into the point where we become the teachers, or, you know, we have the land and the space to do this school. And, you know, this is like a real, like fast forward in the future, but eventually would love for it to be an exchange program where Black folks could go to Africa, and African students of the school could come and live here and have a cross-cultural exchange and really start connecting those roots to art and healing and culture. So
Yeah, the question is no obstacles, so you get to go wherever you want, like big
Yeah.
dreams
Yeah.
you can have.
yeah, so yeah, eventually would love to have an art school, and, you know, live in artist residency and exchange program with Africa. Yeah.
Sounds cool.
I see it.
Thank you. Yeah.
So I just one last thing. So if people want to connect with you to collaborate, so your Facebook or Instagram?
Yeah, we have Facebook, Youth Art Will Succeed.
Oh, yeah.
Instagram, it's the same, Youth Art Will Succeed. And those are the two fastest and easiest ways to go ahead and like just find out what's going on, message me directly, or the team or people that are, you know, signed on, and with any questions or potential collaborations. And then as far as collaborating with me on an individual and artist level, anybody who wants to make music or create, yeah, all love Andrea as well on Instagram.
Thank
Sweet.
you so
Thank you,
much.
Thank you
Oh my
all so
gosh.
much.
And for your song.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, this has been a great interview.
Yay!
Yeah.
Mind blowing. I got so many
Yay.
downloads. Thank you.
Spread the love. Oh yeah.
Serious love. Okay.
Yeah, and thank you all too for having me and receiving what I have to say
Of
and
course.
asking about it.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And thank you all for being here and keeping our community connected and keeping us understanding each other and growing together. We really appreciate you here. Thank you.